Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Brennan Van Wichen and I am a spiritual and psychic educator of sorts. I just like to call myself a spiritual enthusiast, and I've created this video as an introduction to my channel and what it is about. And it is a channel that I've created as a kind of social experiment, we'll call it, where I've been developing and exploring certain manifestation techniques for a number of years, and I've been kind of exploring them to the point and studying them and practicing them to the point where I believe that they are provable methods of how to, say, plant a psychic seed with a vision and allow it to manifest into a real physical event. And up to a very recent time in my life, in the last, say, month or so, I've been using these techniques to essentially try and manifest a better life for myself. And they have worked in small increments, and they've gotten larger and larger and larger until certain things have happened in my life where I can barely explain the nature of them to other people, that have been these incredible rewards from things that I have been working toward due to these visions and these meditational kind of exercises that go on with these manifestation practices. And it's gotten to the point where they've become, the momentum of them has built so much that I've learned exactly how they work, and I've figured out how to teach them to people. And after doing a number of sessions and one-on-one sessions with people, I learned very quickly that the things that I have learned are true, and that there's almost a scientific method into making them work. And so I figured that it's one thing to be able to teach someone how to do something by saying from a place of success that this is what I did when I was at your point in time, and this is what I would do, and this is what I would do, and this is what I did, rather than saying what I did and how to get to where I am. What I wish to do is I wish to start documenting this before the success that I'm trying to manifests, so to speak, and therefore I can kind of prove and show along the way what I'm doing in my life, the studies that I'm studying, the meditations I'm meditating on, and the practices I'm practicing. This way, hopefully, people can actually relate to where I'm at in my life and how to do them and how to apply them into their life, because they're going to see literal events happening before them that I am casting into reality. And so as of late, I am a qualified arborist. I climb trees and use chainsaws and all that kind of shit. And this is a career that I was chasing for 6 years. And it was one of those things where it was like, cool, I'm going to climb trees because it's kind of like the coolest job one can have aside from being a rock star, in my opinion. And slowly try and succeed as a musician on the outside. And after 6 years, things kept getting better and better and better. I was earning more money, had more flexibility, finished earlier, and had more control over everything that was going on every day. And it got to a point where I knew that I had explored tree work as far as I wanted to explore tree work, and that I was wanting more, and I was constantly questioning what move to make. How do I build my band? How do I succeed as a musician? How do I grow my channel? How do I do all this kind of stuff while juggling tree work and, you know, eating properly and exercising and all the stuff that's involved with being a good arborist. And very quickly, upon asking myself how I would manage to do this now that I had kind of reached where I wanted to with tree work, a very big event happened in my life which shifted my entire perspective of where I needed to be in my life, and it's pushed me toward this vision that I've come up with, that has all got to do with teaching these manifestation techniques to people who are interested and helping them with their like spiritual and psychic development, or or so to speak, like the feminine intuition side of themselves. And as I said, I believe that rather than trying to teach this to people, I'm just simply going to document the process of me actually doing it and telling you events that are going to happen in my life and then achieving them, and the way that I'm doing it and the way that I'm picking up on the data. And hopefully over time you will see certain things that I do correlate exactly with something that I had spoken about on video on the internet 5 or 6 months prior, and also highlight all of the nuances in each of those micro events within that event happening, and how easy they are to perceive and pay attention to once you actually understand the language of manifestation. So this is my new setup. I wanted to create a space that both I can do podcast stuff from. Podcasting is one of the things I'm going to be moving toward, and I wanted to be able to record music too, and potentially even hold, like, because I do one-on-one psychic and spiritual development sessions, could even like hold them in here. That would be pretty cool, because at the end of the day, my whole thing is that you want to be the most unique and creative version of yourself, because that's what makes you who you are, and you should express that as much as you can. And therefore creativity is the most important thing that we have, is to create, to learn, to discover, to make mistakes, and the way that we utilize this creativity is through manifestation techniques. We learn how to harness that psychic data and plant it so that it emerges into a real event. And so at the moment, this is I bought an electronic kit recently. It's a Roland's TD-17, which is like basically the best kit you can get before having to spend like shitloads of money, and may as well just buy a real kit. So I'm kind of like slowly learning that. Then this is where my all my sound stuff used to be, but it gets like the bass doesn't do well in this corner. It's a bit much, and I could never hear anything properly. And so that was like where my amps and shit were, and there's like acoustic foam behind it. So I'm going to eventually get like a real kit and have it like perma set up to record in here and just practice all that kind of stuff. And then this is just like junk and stuff. Founder of the band, the show is like the best film of all time. I was blown away by how good it was. Here's my tree gear that I'm selling. And these are like my old speakers and everything with my old TV. So the couch used to be like over here, but now it's like nice and boxed up in here. So I've got, the couch there. This is just all my old junk and stuff that was kind of like in between everything. But then I've got, all my guitars here. So my 2007 Jackson RR5, made in Japan, Jackson. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's another Japanese Jackson, Josh Milton Signature LTD, Solar SC 2.6, or whatever it's called, Solar Bass, some Japanese Jackson 7-string, and a PRS Silver Sky SE, which is like a John Mayer signature. Then I've got like my amps and shit that I don't use anymore because I went digital. And then just more acoustic foam. Curtains are really fucking expensive, man. Like, I didn't realize how expensive curtains were until I went to buy them. And I went to get some, and then I got the wrong size, and then I was like, fuck, so I had to go all the way back and like return them, and I had to wait in there for ages, and it was just really a real buzzkill. But then, so there's my like our logo. The geometric design is by Grocco. He's a fucking legend. Shout out to Grocco. And then there's always Rage Nation, keeping me vibing at all times. My Neural DSP Quad Cortex, which is like my setup and shit. It's good. There's Luna. That incense. But yeah, so it's I just felt it was important to just have a dedicated space to do all this kind of stuff, because I want to be making a lot of content. That's going to be my main way of sharing my stuff, and hopefully I'll have plans to actually have it all written down. So this is kind of one of the ways I go about it is I'll meditate, and I'll receive a vision of things, and I'm going to make videos explaining how I go about these. But I do these meditations, see these visions of things, and then those certain visions will then evolve into different events that need to take place in order to happen. And so at the moment I've got the next 5 things ready. So I always write them down. So the first one is finish setting up studio, curtains, and organize. So as you can see, that's marked off now because I've done the studio side of things. The next one is Manifestation Masterclass, Seraphic Student Portal, and Manifestation YouTube video. So the Seraphic Student Portal, I've already actually made that. I haven't ticked it off yet, but that's a Facebook group that I'm creating, that any of my students who was had a one-on-one session or bought one of my courses, they get access to that group where any and all questions are welcome. You have full access to me, and doing live Q&As once a week or something as well. That could be cool. So I made the Seraphic Student Portal for when I get things properly rolling. So then there's the Manifestation Masterclass. So that's going to be I'll start with the next one. There's a Manifestation YouTube video that I'm going to make, which is the one main technique that I use, which can get you anything you want, so to speak. And then the Manifestation Masterclass is going to be basically that in greater detail, or just said in a different way, along with 3 other techniques that I use, and manifestation philosophy and the way that it works. And then that will be a course, an online course, which will be I don't want to make it too much. I wanted to make it just enough so that anyone can afford it, and you're not paying too much, but it also helps me sustain being able to do this for a living. So I was thinking just I don't know, $70 or something for that, and that's that will teach you almost everything that I know, so to speak. And then so I need to set those 2 up. This was a video I wanted to make before the manifestation one, just so I have an explanation of what's going on, so people can kind of jump back and forth and try and see what I'm up to. And then once I get the course and the YouTube video done, then the next thing to do is start the podcast, which I'm still deciding on a name for, which I'm not too sure yet. The previous one was called Redefining Spirituality, but I don't want to have it as a spiritual podcast. I want it to be as a creative one. So I'm going to find maybe a bit more of a personal, cooler name for that. And my friend Sarah Jane Tickner is going to be my guest on it, because basically as I said, this is the YouTube channel is going to be my documentation of how I do these manifestations and how they come about and how I visualize them and what happens. And the podcast is going to be one of the practices that I'm putting into it. I've manifested and focused upon a very, very interesting concept, which is almost more of a social experiment to push a certain manifestation of a less hurting world, I guess I'll call it. I want to see less suffering in the world, and I've come up with a podcast concept which I think is going to really, really aid in that. And I can see it going really, really far very, very quickly. So I want to have this manifestation YouTube video ready to go, because that in itself is an extremely powerful concept. and then I want to have the manifestation masterclass ready for anyone who wants that extra bit of information, and then also have personal sessions available. And then yeah, like get that shit done, and then as soon as I have like an actual funnel to actually earn a living, do the podcast, and then I've got another podcast episode, but I'm not sure whether to make it a podcast episode or to actually write a book about this one. It came as a book first in my mind when I came up with it about a year ago, but I wonder if I can just get the same message out, but through a video context. And then the last one is, sell tree gear, which, that's all this kind of shit. So that was one of my things for today. Sell my with and but I've been pretty anxious actually. Like a big part of this is like being told, I have to quit tree work, and like making the full jump to go just go like full time, no experience, no backing, and just fucking winging it. Like we'll see how we go. It's pretty fun. But that's it, you know what I mean? Like if I'm here, quitting my quitting my full-time well-paying job on faith, and it pays off, I think that, hopefully a lot of people will want to learn, and I'll be able to teach a lot of people how to do the same thing, because we are all here to enjoy the human experience. We're all here to be happy and have fun. That's the whole point of this. So the more people I can help, the more people they can help, and we can finally hopefully start evolving away from the current state of humanity with all of the chaos that's going on. I believe that we need to. It's not a case of who's right and who's wrong. It's a case of this doesn't work. And so these are the kinds of questions that I want to talk about on this channel, which I will be, and on the podcast that's coming up too. And I hope you all enjoy it as well. So remember, human connection is the currency of the future. So go do something human, go do something creative, go have fun, and we'll chat again soon. Peace.